By Rabbi Side, this is Yehud 11. The program is 11 at 11. However, we experienced technical difficulties last week with our video, and therefore I'm summarizing that which we discussed in an hour last week, and I'm going to do it in 10 minutes, which the people might appreciate anyhow, because most of the people listening are masmidim, and they don't have the time of the kayach to listen to a whole hour. So we're going to make it very easy. We're going to try to do this in a much more expeditious manner. Please spread the word about this video. You can be a shutef, a partner in this spreading of the Richtige Hashkafa of the Gedol Yisroel of yesteryear, Rabbi Avigdor Miller, Kasher V'Rov, Deborah Zinrov, Schaer Mitziana Bahalocha, Yisroel Feivelson, Rabbi Teitz, I had chats with Yisroel Obach, Rabbi Vadi Yosef, Malkiel Kotler Avi Schnall, Rabbi Michael Lefkovich I had several meetings with, and on and on. And Kachma Kublani, I had signatures from many people, the Eloy Rov, Rabbi Ben Tzir Mitzafi Yibod L'chaim Tov Maruchim, that's Heitiges Glen Rebbe. So please, 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 I don't know anybody else who's doing this, and it's very, very important. I don't get covered for this. I certainly don't get money. I spend my own money, but it's very important. So become a shutef, subscribe, spread the word, and we're going to have an educated Yiddish consumership of Torah and mitzvahs, and we're going to start to stand up, be moichem. We're going to push back against immorality, and it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous spiritual accomplishment. Every little thing we do, you know the famous Maisa with the mother of the girl who came back with her partner, and the partner said, you know, when you lifted your hand to walk across to see that Gevir, that lifting the hand that separated you and me, you get Schaer for that. Rabbi say, imagine if you tell other people about this and people start to listen, people hear, people become educated, people are teveya, they mun, they fodder, they demand from our Torah leadership, side the Askonim, and side the Gedalim, the Rosh Yeshivas, the Rabbonim, the Rosh HaMeisters. Imagine what we could accomplish together. So thank you very, very much. It's an honor for me to be your humble servant and facilitator. And it's not based on my own chusim. It's based on the fact that I was plucked out of obscurity by an obscure man himself who sent me to Rabbi Avigdor Miller, and the rest is history. Rabbi Side, we discussed this past week that Rabbi Aaron Kotler has a tremendous, tremendous amount of power. He's nice, he's charismatic, he's intelligent, he's sweet. He's to facilitate the Avi voice HaKadusha, the Lakewood Yeshiva Beis Medrash Gavoya, will be Gavoya many. But when they'll finally let me out of the nether regions and I might get to see him and wave to him from the bleachers where I'll be, when he'll be sitting behind home plate. Don't tell me, Yehuda, you were right. Because of my achrayas, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I didn't do enough of the morality thing. So even though it seems I'm giving him a little zionist now, I'm being a little harsh with him, Rav Aaron, I can promise you it's nothing personal, it's not antagonistic. It's kamoicha. I love you, I want you to succeed, and I want you to be more sensitive to the morality issues on a constant basis. And since you have your buddy, your partner in crime, if I can say that, kibitzing around with quotation marks, Avi Schnall, the Agudath lobbyist, and he's also not doing the job at all in many areas. And I could list them in future programs, I will. Shitchistic, these people do a little bit and then they think they're yaitza. This is a constant struggle. Imagine if there was a gezerah against Klal Yisrael that they're going to start killing Jews or imprisoning Jews. So we'd make a little ishtadlus once in a while, issue a press statement to the Haimitown, Haimitown, the Yiddish media. What is doing? We're troubling, and we have look at this photo up we have with the governor presenting him with the mezuzah. We're doing gewaldik. We're prostituting our religion by giving him a mezuzah, and then we send him a klaf afterwards. It should be kosher. The Rav said not to make a bracha when the oral, the oisvav, the meshukets who made Kaisvim Ksubal Zacher, not only did Cuomo make it in New York State by heavy-handed tactics, by closing the doors of the Senate and not letting any senators leave on a Friday night, when even Senator Kenneth Partner, an Afro-American senator from parts of Flatbush, was outraged by the heavy-handedness of the governor. He wanted to push for the Mishkav Zacher marriage. But we have to now give him kibudim. Why? Because he gave some shkalim to the yeshivas for security cameras. So it said in the newspaper reports in the Jewish media, he went to Haftar, and then he went afterwards to Maggid David the Sephardim. I want to ask the Sephardim somebody. Sephardic pride or Sephardic shame? You teach the next door, it said in the paper, to clap for him like a rock star. You understand? So if he'll make transgendered bathrooms a law, then next time when he comes, because he's giving us a $50,000 check, then we'll not only clap, we'll throw confetti over him. And of course, the head of the OU, Alan Fagan, the executive vice president of the Agudath, Rabbi Yisroel, had to be there to take part in the Sycophantry Fest, the Hanifa Lecking Fest. This is Torah. The questions are asked. Even if you have to do something, how much do you have to do? How much Hanifa is permitted? You have to use the children. In other words, you could have had the whole yeshiva come, or you could have had a smaller amount of people to be mismayat in the Hanifa. And you could have told the children, don't overly applaud. We have to honor the governor, respect for his office. But he did things in terms of morality. They're totally immoral. And he's continuing to sponsor, foster, and promote immoral legislation. And the other part of the Hanifa and the dumbness of this is, he's going and he's running a candidate against Simcha Felder, who stood up for yeshivas. You hear? And we're going and clapping for him. So you think Cuomo doesn't look at us like Haimis from Haimitown, like Shoitim and Tipchim and Chanfonim, that he can control with a few shkolim? Now this all was this lesson to Aaron Kotler. Aaron, the politicians look at you and you're there for Gelt. But when it comes to anything else, morality, you had to send me a second email. After the first email you sent me a second one. First you sent me, there's no transgender bills, we don't know anything. Then, when I showed you Schwarzer Weiss, we published it in the Jewish press before it happened, and after it happened, I'll speak to Gary Schaer. Aaron, I love you, but you're not doing me any favors, and believe me, I'm not going to let go of you. Until you become a chunnach, until you are retrained. You know sensitivity training for the Mishkevei Zachar? We're going to give you sensitivity training, you and Schnall, Rabbi Schnall. We're going to give you sensitivity training to how to stick up for morality. You got to monitor all the bills. You have to make the status and try. You have to do two things. Because they go there for entertainment, for books, a certain amount of the Kindlech, or they go there because they have a job assignment. Some of them go with the parents, some of them go without the parents. It's a Himmelgeschrei. Why do you turn the other cheek? Wenn ich probiert beten als Askonim, soll sich meere sein der Zibur auf Freitag noch Mittag, als lange Shabbosos, as we can gain Vierer Seger in front from the library, 25 Noshim Sikonis mit den Strollers, mit der große Schellet, a sign, und sagen, save the purity of our children. We don't celebrate deviance. Civil rights for religious people. We can haben noch 25 von der Kehlel, b'nei Kehlel was said it in the Heim. Kveit Shamayim, Tonan Askonis. So they told me, since the Rosh Yeshivas didn't say, nobody's going to do a thing, because nobody can think for themselves. We're just automatons. In other words, when it comes to buying a house and checking a title and doing the best research deal and everything, you understand the problem? This has got to stop. This has got to stop. And if it's not going to stop, at least you'll have bizyonis. I'm getting bizyonis from this. I'm not getting covered. I'm an old man. What am I getting from this? I'm paying for this for my own money. Nobody helps me. But it has to be done. I got the job assignment. It's got to be done. So, Aaron, we want you to get people out there to demonstrate. I don't care if it's a Kolkoyer from the Rosh Yeshivas. I don't care what you have to do. Get them out there to demonstrate. And you have until June the 30th, the end of June. So there's still time. This video is going to go up in the next few days. You have the last 10 days or 9 days of June. We expect a demonstration. And you call the Asbury Park Press. You call the media. We're protesting. What is the benefit of that? First of all, the politicians will see. It's not so posh. The Haimis are not sleeping. We're not just giving out mezuzahs, Laman Hashem. We're not just confident like the latest Agudath dinner. Shame on them. Disgusting. They honored Gary Schaer. I can give you a list as long as my arm of the Oisvafarai of Gary Schaer, how many bills he sponsored, shticklich he played when he was chairing committees. He voted against, but then he let it go. He cut off debate on it. He is responsible for major schmutz for years. And he went to Rabbi, I think it was him who went to Rabbi Ron Eisenman's shul. There was once a signing ceremony there or something from a schmutz bill in Passaic. Where's the Rosh Yeshiva? Where are the Hertz? Where are the people from Passaic? Where are the people from New Jersey? So when I spoke years ago to Rabbi Teitz, and I asked him on a certain bill, he said to me, what are the Lakewood Rosh Yeshivas doing? And when I told this to Rabbi Malkiel Kotler, I told it to him outside of Terrace Shloima, that doesn't exist anymore, Terrace under the tracks, where it was $18 a person for Chasna, and Rav Eli Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Eli Wachfeigel, made Rav Wachfeigel Shlita, made a chasna and Rabbi Malkiel Kotler was there, so I went there. When he came out of the Zal, I went over to him and I told him, there's this piece of legislation, he doesn't know anything about it. And they snore the highways and byways of the Kitzation and the Civis. So Shiva weiß nicht von dem. Eiers und Leute ist gedele Terror, aber man weiß nicht. Man darf nicht wissen, weil wir säumig auf das Konim. Nur was das Konim sagen uns. He was a bigger masbid than, I'm not going to say what, I'm not trying to be negative. He was a very big masbid, Rabbi Victor Miller. Every minute was precious. How did he manage to know what was going on? That's a politic izach. So he says to me, Malkiel Kotler, I said to him, when I asked Rabbi Teitz to get the modern Orthodox rabbis from New Jersey to oppose the bill, he said to me very simply, what is the Lakewood Rosh Yeshiva doing? He might have said, what is Aaron Kotler doing? Because it's Hainu Hach when it comes to any Askonis, right? So I'm telling this to Rosh Yeshiva. The Rosh Yeshiva turned red because Rabbi Malkiel is a very choshev person. I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all. I don't come to his toenails in anything. Just that I was given a job assignment to have 4 decades, 40 years of experience in morality. And excuse me for saying, though, if the interchanging with Agudath Israel of yesterday, people of today, Rabbanim Askadim, ich darf nicht schämen von keinem nicht. I'm the more in the Schweizer in this, like the Kashiver wrote, Shluchet Rabbanim B'chol Asa V'Asa, he wrote that in Tavshin Nun Tes. And the Skleiner Rebbe, Yibod L'chaim, wrote it several years later. And the Deborah Rabbi Victor Miller wrote, Kol Dibur of Dibarti Moizezman Rav, where he wrote in the letter to Ravel Yisrael Tavshin Mem Gimel. So I've got the job assignment, the Haskamis in writing for a long time. I don't have to show B'makom Sheish Chil Hashem. I don't have to show respect for people who are drowning us through their lethargy and their apathy and their lack of involvement. At this late stage in the developing culture, how is it that the Rosh Yeshivas are not concerned? How is it that they never had a meeting with Aaron and Rabbi Weisberg and Rabbi Schenkolewski and Rabbi Dostoevsky and Rabbi Koskolevsky and the chairman and the zoning board and the education board and the committeemen and the mayor and everybody else? We want to be notified whenever there's a schmutz. There's an average of 1 or 2 or 3 schmutzige Sachen having that affect the tzibur every month. Now, if you threaten the committeemen, first of all, even if you can't accomplish, we want that they should not fund this Chazarite in the public library in Lakewood, Befrat, because it goes against community standard. It's offensive. It's a clash of religion. For all I care, that Aaron Kotler get that there should be either Ocean County itself or the municipality of Lakewood should take money and pay their lawyer from taxpayer funds from the Lakewood people who spend a fortune in taxes. And they should do a lawsuit, religion versus the civil rights to push the schmutz in the Kinder's library. Make it a court case, Leman Hashem. Or go, Aaron, if you're too cheap and you don't want to use tax money for that because it's coming out of your pocket somehow, then go and get in touch with the Christian agencies. There's something called the Thomas More Fund. There's something called the Beckett Fund. There's a Meshumit, I forget what his name is, he's a Meshumit, but it's American Center for Law and Freedom, American Center for Law and Justice, or something like that. He's one of the, I forget his name, the Meshumit. He has a huge thing and he fights for religious liberty. You can probably, Aaron, if you spent the time, you and Rabbi Schnall, Rav Hagoyin Rav Schnall, and the other Chashuvim from Agudath, they could probably challenge this thing. What do you have to lose by challenging it? So the Agudath do nothing. If we challenge it and we lose, it's going to make things much worse. There's going to be a court case. So you turn the other cheek, which is a goyish concept. We don't turn the other cheek. We do what we're supposed to. Let me give you the hashkafa in the Rhine. Rabbi Miller wrote 4 or 5 volumes on the Brisker Rov. They came to the Brisker Rov, Rabbi Maimon, others, they told him, if you're not going to make an accommodation with drafting girls or allowing Meidlach to be community service, then they'll land up either drafting Meidlach or worse than that, they'll draft the Bachram and close the yeshivas. This is from the time Ben Gurion when they were told to draft. You know what the Deborah said, what the Brisker Rov answered? I have to be concerned with the tznius of the Meidlach. It's Yaharik Val Yavor. I toira mati yoleho de moistus the yeshivas. They'll close down. This is God's business. So I tell this Agudath Israel, I'm not nishtoimim from your excuses. You and the rest of the Hasidic groups, everybody who has lobbyists and chanfonim for everything, but not for this. Make a lawsuit if you have to. I don't care. And with Taras HaKedesh, with the signs, let the whole media know. So hundreds of thousands of people will see it on the news. The Christians, and they'll say, oh, the Orthodox Jews is doing something. You understand, Rabbi Say? I have a lot more to say, but we'll say it in the other program. This is Rabbi Levin, and we're checking out for now. Thank you very much for listening.